Alright, so many of you requested that I should give a step-by-step on how I edited the ammonia image. So let's just start. Now this is the basic image that I have. Again, I'm sorry if there's a bit of an echo in this room, but this is the only empty room that I could find, and I guess if you can't really understand or hear me, you can ask questions and I'll try to reply as much as I can. Alright, so if I open the layers panel and I look at the image, these are the layers that I have. Now the first group that I have is the clean group, and this is an action that I actually took from Prateek Naik. So if you don't know him, you should follow him. You can ask me for his the Instagram details, but his Instagram page is by the name of Solist Retouch. Anyways, so now the clean group has basically three layers. Now if I turn these off, now first is the heal layer, which basically I use for all the things that I do on the face. So basically this is basically a stamping tool that I use. It's basically the healing brush tool, and I use it to take off all of the basic blemishes that I have. Now, so I also have another layer over here, which is the under eyes layer, and the reason why it's on a different layer is because usually the under eyes layer I use the healing brush, but then I reduce the opacity so that it doesn't look very fake. And then there's the clone tool. Usually I use the clone tool for exterior changes like the flyby here, or there was this pipe over here that was distracting, so I removed that as well. Now going forward, I use the dodge and burn for eyes, and usually how I go about it is that I use a dodge and burn layers. I have an action created for it. Now if you don't know what dodge and burn is, YouTube is filled with videos of it, and what I do is I usually burn the sides of the eye and I dodge the insides of the eye. And once I do that, what I do is that I copy them multiple times so that the overall effect is sort of very intense, and then I reduce the opacity up to my liking, so that it gives an effect that is where the eyes are popping out. Now if I look at it here, the eyes are really popping out. If I turn this off, you can actually see how the eyes are popping out. Going forward, there's the global dodge and burn. Now basically this is where we contour the face, and what I do is that I basically use dodge in this area, then where I have to burn or darken, I basically use the burn and sort of contour this area, then dodge here and burn here as well. Also I like to take the forehead out, so I usually dodge in this area and burn on the sides. So this is when if I take a look back at it, this is how your global dodge and burn will work. So what it looks like is a bit of basically that her face is shaped a little more. I also reduced the opacity because when I did it, it was pretty intense. Then I also use the hair dodge and burn. So what I do is that I dodge the highlighted areas and burn the shadow areas so that it just creates a bit more of a pop on the hair. Once I've done all these things, then what I did was in this image that I basically merged them all together and put them on a layer on top, and then I used the liquefy tool to shape the face a little bit more, and then the eyes or arms as well. So if this is how it was, this is before and this is after, before and after. Once I did all of these, the Photoshop work was finished, and then I moved to Lightroom. Now, if you, those of you who don't know Lightroom, obviously it's another product by Adobe, and right now what I've done is that I've basically turned all of these layers off. So what I have is just the basic functions that I've done, which is increased the contrast slightly, and then obviously worked a bit on the highlights and shadows. to give it a little bit of a pop. I don't have a before and after on this one. Obviously, if somebody knows how to do it, maybe you can tell me so that I can do this as well. But yeah, this is how it is. And then I usually try to increase the vibrance a little bit and then reduce the saturation to match it so that it doesn't look um, very deeply saturated. Once I did that in the tone curve, what I've done is basically I've just increased the lower part on the shadows over here, so it gives a bit of a fade effect, so to speak. So here you can see it slightly, yeah. And especially in the shadowy areas or the really deep dark areas, you can see that it's sort of popping out as well, giving a bit of a fade. In HSL or hue saturation luminosity, what I did only was that I played with the luminosity of orange and increased it a bit. What that did was basically that it brightened up her skin tone and it made it pop a little bit. I usually work with split toning. What I did was that and this is where the color gets graded. What I did was basic split toning, that I had yellow on the foreground and or highlights, and then blue on the shadows. And it was pretty mild. I mean, not that much, but again, you can see it that the image really pops up when you grade it as well. I didn't do much anything in detail, maybe sharpened a little bit. So I don't know if you can see the sharpening effect over here, but it's just very light. There's no lens correction in this one, so I didn't really do anything here, and obviously nothing here either from the transform amount. I did do a light bit of vignetting, so as you can see that, I mean, when I did the post crop, so I vignetted it a little bit. What I also did was that I went over here and I cropped it to a 4:5, which is the sort of dimension that Instagram likes, and that's it. So I exported it, and that's the images you saw. If there are any questions, you can ask me and I can answer them. And I hope this video was useful. Try to ask questions, or if you have anything that you want to learn more, just let me know and I'll just work on that. Thank you.